So the homie kingbdogz actually ranked his own features for 1.19 The Wild update related to the Deep, Dark, and the Warden, which is pretty exciting. So we're going to be breaking down this list in today's video, as well as just giving my own thoughts about the ranking of these features. I personally disagree with some of them. I think some of them are higher ranked, so I think kingbdogz is being a little harsh here, but nonetheless, really hyped for Deep, Dark, and the Warden. Let me know down below in the comment section your favorite features so far, and how would you rank the Deep, Dark content. With that said, if you're new to the channel, please consider joining the Stealth Army. Click that subscribe button right now. I promise you, you won't regret it. With that said, you know the routine, you know the drill. Let's get straight into the video. So John Kimpo tweeted at kingbdogz and said, "That's interesting, but what is your tier list so far? Would be interesting to know what you think of your own creation." So I would agree. I would love to know, especially all the developers, like how they feel about their own creations when they're currently working on something, especially with all the feedback and criticism they get. I'm sure it can get really overwhelming at times, and just trying to look at the constructive criticism can probably be very difficult. So kingbdogz said, "In its current state, my honest answer would be S tier, Sculk Catalyst, Skulk Veins, Reinforced Deepslate. A tier, Skulk Sensor, Swift Sneak. B tier, Warden, Skulk Shrieker, Ancient Cities. D tier, Deep Dark Biome. And E tier, Ancient Cities Loot." So right off the bat, I think the first one I would have to agree with is Ancient Cities Loot should be ranked E. I think we can all agree with that, but at the same time, I think we know at this point that they're not even close to completing the loot, right? And this is something that kingbdogz has been focusing on for the past year. He's been saying that his intentions are to add unique loot to the Deep Dark cities. So I think we got a little glimpse with Swift Sneak, but I think that's only a piece of a larger puzzle. So I think right now we're just seeing like fillers, like you're seeing a bunch of bones and snowballs and stuff like that, which is obviously going to change. And I think that's one of the reasons why he ranked it so low right now, is because it's just not complete, right? I think we can all see that. It's not complete. Nobody wants to die for bones. Nobody wants to die for respiration. And a lot of people might not want to die for Swift Sneak. But we'll get into Swift Sneak in a little bit. So share your thoughts down below. What type of loot would you guys like to see in the Deep Dark Ancient Cities? So the D tier is Deep Dark Biome. I would actually say that's really accurate as well. I would say the Deep Dark Biome is either a D tier or an E tier. So the reason that is the case is because it just doesn't feel like a Deep Dark Biome. I would actually go as far to say that what we saw during the original showcase of the Deep Dark Biome in 2020, I believe, was a better depiction of the Deep Dark Biome than what we got right now. So let's actually see if we can find a Deep Dark Biome really quick, and we'll compare the two. So here we have a Deep Dark Biome, and I think you guys can immediately spot the issue, which is that it doesn't feel like a new biome. It just feels like a dripstone cave with a bunch of skulk blocks. And on Minecraft.net, they have an article depicting all the features, breaking them down, and in the Deep Dark, it says, "Dig into the depths far underground to uncover the darkest biome in Minecraft, the Deep Dark. Dimly lit and eerie, the Deep Dark is sure to strike fear into the hearts of even the most brave players. The floor of the Deep Dark is covered in skulk. The only mob that calls the Deep Dark home is the Warden." So right now, I'm basically seeing a dripstone cave. And I'm sure just if you find another one, it's going to be maybe a different cave with blocks spread out. But ultimately, it's not going to look like a Deep Dark Biome. It's not going to be what we initially thought a Deep Dark Biome would resemble, which is basically like a confined area, like a really tall tunnel, long, slender. And I know this gameplay footage is from a year plus ago. A lot has changed. Obviously, things have changed due to COVID and due to a lot of other factors. So, you know, what we saw during 2020 or whenever they showcased the initial gameplay footage for the Deep Dark is going to be completely different. But I think the community felt for the most part that the Deep Dark biome was going to be this very intimidating dark biome that felt restricting and felt like you're limited in terms of movements, in terms of just your mobility overall. It just felt very confining, like a place you shouldn't be in, right? It felt like a domain, a place you clearly should not be in. And right now, all we're really seeing is these blocks from the Sculk family scattered in caves. So I think the ranking is pretty fair. I would even go as far to say it could possibly be an E, but share your opinions and thoughts down below. I think this means that kingbdogz is clearly not content, not satisfied with the Deep Dark biome, and there's going to be some major changes. We just got to remember that this is experimental. Next up, we have the B tier list. We have Warden, Sculk, Shrieker, and Ancient Cities. This is where I'm a little confused because I think all three of these features should be in at least A tier and above. The Warden, for obvious reasons. Let's go ahead and just summon the Warden really quick, and you guys can tell immediately this is something we've never experienced ever in the history of Minecraft. There's no mob remotely similar to the Warden. Now, clearly, we're going to see a lot of videos, a lot of people trying to cheese and kill the Warden as quickly as possible, especially as a content creator. That stuff is exciting. It's exciting to watch, but I just think generally, talking about overall the entire Minecraft community, they're going to have a very difficult time defeating the Warden. It is that strong, and it is that intimidating and scary, and I just love it. So let's go ahead and summon the Warden. So I'm pretty sure you guys know at this point how to get the Warden's attention. We just got to find a good old Shrieker, which is honestly one of my favorite blocks. And we got a sensor right there. We have a catalyst. Now, where is the Shrieker? In fact, I see a Shrieker right there. So we're going to make things really easy, and we're going to go ahead and open this chest. We got some candles, some bones, and a Sculk sensor. Okay, so with that, it should be enough to summon the Warden. So there's a Shrieker right there. So people are upset that the Warden is a little bit too easy to kill. And I think you're always going to find a lot of people that want to defeat the Warden, that want to kill it just because it's fun, it's a challenge, and it's something new, right? People get bored and they want to find a new way to either kill something or die. I get it. I don't know if that's the Warden's fault, if that makes any sense. I think the issue is that because the Warden is the only mob that technically spawns in the Deep Dark, or the only mob that should be existing in the Deep Dark, it means that the player can primarily just focus on killing this mob instead of just having issues related to other mobs randomly coming out of nowhere, like a creeper, or even in this situation, a zombie or skeleton. Like, that's gonna happen sometimes, but for the most part, like, the Warden is the only mob that's gonna give you an issue, that's gonna give you problems in the Deep Dark. I think a solution would be adding another creature that is summoned if the Warden is upset. So, for instance, say the Warden is summoned as a result of the Shrieker, and if the Warden can't find the player after, you know, let's say a minute or two, it gets really upset, and another mob comes out of nowhere. It could be like a Sculk type of bat. It could be something new that flies around that can knock you off. And I think that also solve a major problem with the Deep Dark design. Not necessarily the Warden, but more so the design of the Deep Dark, the Ancient Cities, is that it's really easy to just tower up. It's really easy to find a safe place to get away to escape the Warden. And you're not going to have a problem after that. Once you get up here, you know, I could just avoid the Warden from here on out. So that's not really a problem. It's not really an issue. They could introduce, you know, a new mob. I don't know if adding a new mechanic to the Warden's a good idea, but share your ideas down below. Next up, we have the Sculk Shrieker, and like I mentioned earlier, I think this is one of the coolest blocks ever. And of course, this is how we get the Warden. So this is S tier, 100% S tier block. It looks incredible. The animation is just Man, I've been talking about this block for such a long time. I already knew that once this block was available, I would love it, and I still love it. It's one of the best blocks, S tier 100%. As for the ancient cities, we talked about that already. I think the ancient cities are incredible. They're really large, like they are absurdly massive. In fact, let's go into spectator mode really quick. Look how far back that goes. The ancient cities are incredible. I don't really have a problem with it. I would also say the ancient cities are S tier. My only issue is I think they're a little bit too scarce. They're too difficult to find. And another problem is I feel like there's too many safe areas. I think one of the issues with even cheesing the Warden is that there's plenty of hiding spaces, there's plenty of towers and areas you can go to feel very safe, and just to feel more relaxed. And I feel like that defeats the purpose of the Deep Dark in the ancient cities. You don't want to feel relaxed in this area. You want to feel the tension all the time. And even if you want to survive, I think this should still be a very terrifying experience. So ultimately, I would still say ancient cities are S tier. Now let's move on to the A tier. We got Skulk Sensor and Swift Sneak. I definitely agree with Skulk Sensor being placed as an A tier block. I think this is going to be a very unique block and game-changing for Redstone. And it's definitely making me more interested in playing around with more redstone contraptions. Even the wireless element with redstone, I think this is really fascinating to just experiment with the possibilities of, you know, just long-distance wireless redstone contraptions. Very cool block. It also snitches on you. So at the same time, it's like, well, we don't like snitches. We don't like giving away our position. We're sneaky, we're stealthy. That's what we're all about. But still, a very interesting block, a creepy animation. I would say A tier list for sure. Swift Sneak, I'm going to be a little harsh here. I don't think this is an enchantment worth dying for. And that's not saying it's a bad enchantment. I think anytime we get a new enchantment, it's cool because it's like a superpower. I really treat enchantments like a superpower. So anytime we get a new enchantment, I'm like, yo, we're stronger, we're faster, we're smarter. You know what I'm saying? Like, you get new abilities. But in this case, it's not technically a new ability. It's just like enhancing another ability. And for most players that are on Bedrock, it's not going to be that big of a deal, especially when it comes to bridging. But being able to move around in the Deep Dark City is important. However, like I mentioned earlier, there's plenty of ways to move around the Deep Dark City without ever getting hit or attacked by the Warden. So I don't know if this enchantment is truly necessary, especially considering as of right now, it's still a boot enchantment. Now, if it were some other enchantment like a legging enchantment, which fingers crossed that could possibly happen, kingbdogz hinted at that, I think this would be a better enchantment and possibly worth risking your life and your precious loot for. But as of right now, I'm going to say that Swift Sneak is a D tier list enchantment. Now let me go ahead and demonstrate it really quick. For those of you who have never seen it before, you have no idea what Swift Sneak does. It basically allows you to move quicker while you're in sneak or while you're crouched. So you see how slow I'm moving right now? You can basically move 3 times faster with the level 3 enchantment of Swift Sneak. So we're moving really slow right now, which isn't really a problem in my opinion. But if you want to go really fast, you get that Swift Sneak. Now we got the Swift Sneak, and you can just tell immediately that I'm basically moving a lot faster. Like, it's without a doubt a lot quicker. I would argue, though, this isn't really that big of a deal once you fully explore the Deep Dark Cities. Not the best idea. I know we're going to get a lot of comments, a lot of people saying, well, stealth, it's great for Skywars stealth, it's great for, I don't know, it's great for Bed Wars and all these other mini games and PvP games, and I think that's for a certain group of players. But if you're talking about special unique loot, I don't think this is as revolutionary as the developers might think it is. It doesn't really introduce a new experience per se. It just makes things simpler and more convenient for a certain group of players. It's not a new experience like channeling was, like Riptide was. Like, those are game-changing enchantments. And this is just, like, you move quicker. So for Java players, you're like, bridging, yeah, let's go. Bedrock players are like, okay, that's cool. We can already, like, glide in the air. So, yeah, it's not that great. I would say it's probably D tier. I'm not going to say E tier, but it's probably as low as D in my opinion. Lastly, we have kingbdogz S tier. We got Sculk Catalyst, Skulk, Sculk Veins, and Reinforced Deepslate. A lot of hype surrounding this block, a lot of confusion as well. It's still experimental, so I'm not sure what's staying and what they're going to keep. But as of right now, this isn't necessarily a block you can obtain through mining. You can, however, move it with a piston. In fact, let me double check just to be sure. Reinforced Deepslate is not obtainable by Silk Touch and is only available through Creative Inventory or commands. However, it can be pushed by piston, is blast resistant while stationary. So that's really impressive. I've seen a lot of people demonstrating this with the Wither Boss, and I'm sure you guys know that the Wither Boss is very destructive, especially when it comes to some other very strong blocks in Minecraft. So I can see the fascination with this block. I have a feeling we're going to learn more about this very soon and possibly in other updates. We'll talk about that in a separate video. But yeah, this is some sort of gateway, some sort of portal, and I have a lot of ideas and theories about this for sure. So if you guys want to see me talk about that in another video, please support the video with a like. It really does help out the channel. I need some love on this channel, guys. So yeah, I really like this block. It looks cool. The design is very fascinating. Like, I think my main issue, though, is that you see this square right here, which looks really cool. They don't have that square on the bottom. Like, why? The top looks better than the bottom. I don't like that. Please fix that, Jasper, someone, from Mojang, if you're watching this. I like the top. Make the top like the bottom, please, please, please. Let's go ahead and just check out the entire Sculk family really quick. We got the Sculk Shrieker. I already mentioned it's S tier, 100%. It's amazing. We got the Sculk Catalyst, also S tier. I think most people would agree with this assessment, with this ranking. The Sculk family, they put a lot of time into this. You can tell that they're just really unique designs, and they have a purpose, which is really cool as well. Sculk Catalyst is probably one of my favorite textures from the Sculk family. And the bottom, look at the bottom right there. It's just so cool. Oh man, I love the detail, and I think this is just going to be a very fun block to play around with, especially just for spreading Sculk blocks. So yeah, I just can't wait to play around with this more. Let's see what else we got. We got the Sculk Vein, another interesting block. I wouldn't say it's as interesting as the other Sculk blocks, but it is creepy, it looks gross, and it's cool just to see a new vine. But what else do we have? We have the Sculk block, which is another really cool block to look at. A similar texture, I think, just solid, of course. And then lastly, we have the Sculk Sensor, which we already talked about that one. Really, really awesome stuff. So that's everything. I think the last thing I haven't discussed is the darkness effect. So I might be missing something else, but the darkness effect is probably one of the most intriguing elements of this entire experience. In fact, I would say that this doesn't really work. What we're seeing here doesn't truly work without the darkness effect. So if there's a level above S tier, I would place the darkness effect above S tier. It is up there for sure. This all works as a result of the darkness effect. It really makes you feel like you're in some place where you should not be. It makes you feel like you could die any moment, which is the case, right? You probably could die at any moment. The darkness effect goes in, and then it cuts back in with some light, and then it goes back to darkness again. Like, it really does make you feel like you're in a place that is probably about to eat you alive. It is just amazing. I love it. One of the best effects in the entire game for sure. So let me know what you guys think about this list. What do you think about my opinion so far? And if you want to see me cover anything else about the Deep Dark City, about the Warden, let me know down below as well. With that said, I'll catch you all in the next video, so take care. Peace.